Zoom in person.
I Zoom in person. Okay,
It's kind of a mind mess, like,
okay, let's see.
like you share your, you
Say,
pretend like you're
got
sitting
it.
in your living room.
And say share screen.
Yep.
And we're gonna do this.
Uh-huh.
Share that.
Yep.
And then we're gonna say from beginning. No, that is.
I think, did you click it?
I'm not in practice.
Jenny's in the back of the room.
I know, that's what I said.
I'm always like a first row
You
person.
can sit next to me, Jenny. I know that I kind of got a mess. And then you two were talking, so I couldn't get into the middle one, and I didn't see the one.
This is gonna be kind of weird, so.
I know, that's why I said it's kind of.
I should look to the people in the room, right?
Yeah.
Yes, and you are, if you look in this square, if you look, there's a camera right there, so those people can see.
Okay.
Oh, you're on camera.
So let me introduce you, but
Sure.
this is Hope Hartman. She is the executive director of the Larimer County SBDC, right? And her fun fact is that she got to be Lucy, who held the football for in You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown.
Decades ago. Good morning. It is so great to be here. I love this networking group in our community, and I don't get here very often, but I announced last time that I came that I'm going to try to come at least once a month. So it's so nice to see all of you in person. It just feels great to be here. So yes, I'm Hope from the Larimer Small Business Development Center, also known as the SBDC. So I'm the executive director, as Leandra mentioned, and with me is our new program manager. And let's see, I wanted to let Sally introduce herself for a quick moment.
Sure. I think a couple of you have known me only online. I will make it there in person, but I am Sally. I started the same day as Hope at the Small Business Development Center.
Good to see you, Sally. Sally's in DC right now. So this is our new world, right? We're a hybrid team and she's working from DC, and here we are together this morning. So our ask, and this will make more sense as you learn about who we are and what we do. We want to know what classes or workshops would be useful to you as business owners. And it's especially important for us to understand what stage of business you're at with that ask. Also, how do you like to learn? In person, virtual, on demand? And then we're also wondering how you find out about business education resources in the community, newsletters, social media, word of mouth, announcements. This is really going to play into a lot of our marketing strategy over the year and making sure that we're really serving the community that we want to, which is quite diverse. So who we are a federal initiative of the Small Business Administration. Okay, so this is federal dollars at work. A lot of people in the community don't know we exist, or they hear, oh, that's a federal program. But we offer training and free confidential consultation, all from local business owners, people like yourselves, experienced people, specialists, and there's no catch to the free confidential consulting. It truly is free. Again, these are federal dollars at work. And so if you leave here with nothing else, please know that is a resource available to you regardless of what stage your business is at. Our training, again, everything went online during COVID. We're opening up, we're having classes on site now. We have a lot of new offerings, a lot of the work that Sally has been doing and people we've been recruiting, even some of your very own, like Jenny has classes on the schedule, can't wait. And Mike Bennett, is he here today?
He is not.
So he is one of our newest consultants. We put him to work right away, and he is also going to be an instructor. So you will know people among our network. The other thing that we do is we offer connection to resources, and we'll explain a little bit more about that. Just so you know what our mission is, from a state level, we help existing and new businesses start, grow, and prosper. That's our mission. So everything we're doing is in support of that mission, and we're hosted by Front Range Community College. So all of our centers across the nation have a host, usually institutions of higher ed. And then Sally, I'm going to hand it back over to you for this slide.
Yeah, so a little bit about what we do. We, as Hope mentioned, we offer trainings in the form of classes, workshops, We also have on-demand trainings that you can watch anytime. They are all either free or low cost, very affordable. Our main topics include things such as business planning, financial literacy, and marketing know-how. That's what makes up the bulk of our classes right now. And as Hope mentioned, I am working on offering a variety of new classes, which most of them will hit in June. So we'll have a bunch of new classes to offer starting June. Next slide. And then we offer consulting. We have about 35 plus and growing consultants that is free, confidential, one-on-one. Most of our clients will first meet with a generalist and talk to them about what stage they're at in their business, where they are, where they want to go. Those are all free as needed. Usually you walk away with some action items agreed upon, and then you meet with that generalist again. If you have more specialized needs, that generalist will set you up with a specialist, and you have 3 free sessions with each one of them. So that's things that dig deeper into financials, deeper into marketing, all sorts of other things. And we also offer for our clients professional advisors. We have a bunch of lists of people in the community, businesses that are okay offering 1 hour of pro bono for you. So you just give them a call, tell them what your need is, you get them for an hour, and then if you need a different professional advisor, that's available to you too. Next slide.
Do you want me to go ahead and speak to this, Sally? I just want to say it's odd. I don't know whether to look at her or to look at the slide or look at you when we do this, but anyways, we're here. So I mentioned connection to resources. So a lot of this really has to do with our network. We have, of course, a local network, but it's the county. So our center serves Larimer County. So we even have partners like Jana and Estes. We have partners in Berthoud and Wellington, Loveland, Cat Hart. Also a lot of the local bankers. So we work closely with them to help prepare businesses ask for those loans. So sometimes the connection to the resources is introducing you to a banker or asking you to come to a panel where there's going to be banker, credit union, commercial bank, crowdfunding expert, maybe an investor, to learn more about the process of how you can raise funding for your business. Also local partners, the Larimer Workforce Center, Larimer County, the city, CSU, Institute for Entrepreneurship. So if there's anyone we know and all you need is just a connection, we're happy to make that for you, but also to tell you about the programs that exist with any of these groups in town. So what you bring to the table, you bring your experience, knowledge, and skills. And so that actually informs what we do, because we are here to serve you. We are the educational arm of the SBA. So that's everything we do goes back to education and consulting. So it's really important that we continue conversations with local business owners and entrepreneurs, and that we're able to meet your need and make sure that you know about what we're offering. And a reality check that none of you need, but by year 5, more than 50% of businesses fail. And we would really like to change that ratio, at least here locally. That is a big part of where we'd like to have an impact. So again, our ask, I'll hand this back over to Sally.
Sure, yeah. So our asks are what classes or workshops would be useful to you? How do you like to learn? And where do you find out about your business support?
And then we just want to thank you for being here. If you're not on our mailing list, please join it. You can follow us on social media. I will let you know we're undergoing a huge marketing overhaul. So things will be changing and moving around and look different, but it is a work in progress. But still feel free to follow us where we are now. And just a shout out to all of our sponsors and partners. Thank you.
All right, who wants to get us started today?
Go back to our ask.
So I have a question for you. What today is your biggest challenge with the SBDC?
Yeah.
You give me the top 2.
I'm going to stick to the content of this presentation. Okay, so the biggest challenge is, we're in a hybrid world now.
Yeah.
And so we're really struggling with, do we offer everything hybrid, or which of those workshops, as long as we all feel safe, make more sense for people to come in person and have some that it's not just lecture style, but it's literally hands-on. We have a lot of historical classes that are more lecture style, I would say. So that's sort of a challenge of really understanding how people want to learn, the mode and the delivery. Did you ask just for one challenge.
I'd be
Feeling much better about that decision all the time.
I mean, this group is a friendly group. You know, we are a federal initiative hosted at a community college. So we have federal, state, all kinds of layers to work through. And then we're working with some of the fastest movers in our community, business owners. You can make your own decision. You can decide what you're doing and you can move fast. And that's how I like to work. And so I just, you know, I've worked for systems before, so I'm just learning to work within the boundaries.
You're getting really good at cutting red tape.
Yes.
Yeah, with I'll put on my small, my hat for owning a small business, Isolation Coffee. And right now, what classes or workshops would be useful for me are the financial ones, raising capital, not bookkeeping or anything like that, but how to use and who to trust and where to go for grants or loans, how not to get myself in trouble, how to use debt to grow a business. And how do I like to learn? Virtual, being able to just pop in and then get back to business as soon as it's over with, you know, small groups. That way we can talk about specific, the unique challenges we're facing right now instead of being a generic, here's how to raise capital.
No, I appreciate
So
that.
that knowledge, and then about finding business support, you know, finding knowledge on how those things work is pretty easy. There's tons of blogs, there's tons of resources about the generic knowledge, but that connecting the knowledge to action, that's where I see the SBDC being really helpful.
Yeah, wonderful. I appreciate that. That's a theme that keeps coming up. And just so you all know, I have recruited Mike Bennett to be on sort of a task force of our financial offering, because we do offer QuickBooks Online almost every quarter. And that's not what you're talking about.
Right.
So that validates what we're working on. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd agree with that on the sentiment of what would be useful, but also just on the, how would you like to learn? I'd say on the opposite end, if ever possible, I'd rather be in person. And I think after a couple of years of, you know, pandemic, most people would want to be in person if they could, if it was safe, if it was accessible. So I don't know if there's more of a hybrid though, because that seems like the easy world of, you know, if you can be here, but if not, there's still a live stream like we're doing right now.
Well, I think there's a little, that's kind of where we're at. I think we need to offer it all. It's just, are there some that are exclusively in person? And then when you do hybrid, so we have a handful of instructors from the community. I mean, I think we'll be one of those, and it's, are the instructors comfortable delivering hybrid? Because even like today, this is a short presentation. I'm like, where do I look? You know, and then when you're trying to engage with clients, it's just another level of challenge. It's not impossible. You all have been doing this for years, but it's something for us to consider, whether it's, this is in person only, this is online, and then we can deliver it the way it's intended.
So I'm gonna say that I'm kind of with both of them. I'm like, I like online because if it's in the middle of the day, all I have to do is like stop what I'm doing and log in. But I love being able to meet the people in the room. But if it's in the middle of the day, it's like, it's a 20-minute drive, and then I go home to where I work, and then I have to come back again, then I have to go back again. It's like, it takes up a half a day. So I'm kind of like, well, I just want to do it online, but I really want to meet the people. So,
Right.
maybe the bookends of the day helps too, so that you're not like leaving in the middle of the day.
Timing is a whole other, if you talk about anybody that has a brick and mortar place, we have to do it early. Right? I'm sorry, there's so many variables in play. But I mean, this is what we want to be a valued resource in the community, so.
When I talk to the folks in Estes and what we've discovered through surveys and a number of those things, right? Estes doesn't want to drive down the hill. They just don't. And on top of that, many of them will not participate in long sessions online because it's just hard. I mean, it's hard to absorb and those sorts of things. But what we know from our surveys is the two most important things that they want to be taught right now is around what Dane said, finances. Where do I come up with operating capital? How do I manage debt load to move things forward? How do I manage payroll expenses? What does seasonal cash flow look like, right? Estes has this a little bit differently than a lot of places down the hill, but also still there's a tourist season And there's a busy season for all of us, whatever that looks like. And managing cash flow is probably the number one reason that 50% of businesses fail before their first 5 years. And nobody teaches you how to do it. Nobody. I mean, large resource partners, darling, large resource partners, but yeah. So there's a lot of that. And then the other thing that's really been coming up lately is understanding the new world of marketing. So when Apple did their thing and Facebook marketing changed completely, it tanked a number of businesses. Amazon came around, up their pricing. Etsy did the same. Now everybody's like, do I need a TikTok account? Like literally, I had a business owner who is on top of a lot of things, whose employees told her the other day, we have a TikTok account. She goes, what the hell is that? Can't blame her, but so how are we helping them understand what the marketing trends that are coming up are? What are the ones that are useful within their scope and industry? And how do they actually manage 9 different marketing channels to find value to focus on 2 or 3?
Right. I really feel even these 2 topics alone. So that is part of our core foundation is financial literacy and marketing know-how, but there's so many variables as you're getting to. So today, by the way, we have an Instagram class at 10:30. And if you want to dash with your down south, but it's having these little specialty topics, some of these working groups. We could fill our calendar for the rest of the year just on these 2 categories alone. I don't know if there was somebody online that has something.
Yeah, I was gonna say Peter and then Stephen.
Well, one of the things you don't have up there is the networking, because to me, that's a huge way to bring the community together and learn from each other. And those you pretty much have to have face to face. But I know that the open house you've got coming, we've attended a couple of the coffees or the beers. And that's where you get to know who's in the community and what's going on, and invite them to this place, invite them to the next place. So I love what you're doing with those.
I'm going to piggyback off of Peter just for the group to know. So we do a monthly, we rotate between a coffee and meeting at a brewery. So there's a morning and then there's an afternoon one that starts at 4:30. And we support local businesses. So we go around. So next month's is at Mugs in the morning, but it's on a Wednesday. So I'm just telling this group, see, that's a change I want to make. But that's been the routine, but it will always conflict with this. And I want our business owners and entrepreneurs coming here. So that's a small change I think I can make. And then the next month will be at Horse and Dragon. So we just try to go around all over the city and support these local businesses through that. And I agree with you. I really enjoyed the last one. I met new people.
There were 40 people there. So that was
Nice.
wow.
Thanks.
We've got Steve online.
Yeah, first of all, thank you so much for sharing the presentation. In terms of the usefulness, I just want to kind of combine or piggyback off of what Jana and Dane said. Dane's talking about getting the money, and for me, sales and marketing, or how do we use that money that we got to make more money? It's the sales and marketing part that is the struggle that I have. So this is very selfish on my part, but classes and resources that help people like me do that marketing and sales. So maybe the Instagram class. I mean, I have a TikTok account for my business, but I've never posted because what? And so,
You're
but
not alone.
I did it so I could get the name, right? So I made sure that no one's going to take my business name. Well, anyway, and in terms of the how or the delivery, for me, it's about options. Sometimes I like to be at 1 Million Cups in person. Actually, I always like to be there in person, but it takes, as Leandra mentioned, it takes a big part of your day if you have to travel. So having the option to do it hybrid or, in online course format or in person, I know that's the worst from a preparation and delivery standpoint, but that's what I would like. So thanks again.
Yeah, if I want to talk to Stephen, should I look here?
The camera looks back there. I know, Hope, it's a little weird. You're not, it's just haven't used the room as much.
Okay.
It's awkward.
So Stephen, the bit on the marketing and what do you do, the sales and marketing, we haven't offered a lot of classes on sales lately. And everyone's saying that they need this. We also get a lot of business owners that say, I don't like to do sales. And then so that's another conversation that I think we need to address early on in our essentials of starting a business class. Like love what you do, be proud of your product and service. It doesn't feel like selling, right? But there are a lot of strategies, and we've had a couple of local service providers come forward literally this week to me saying, I really want to help the SBDC's clients. And there are things that I could help teach community members. And so I'm glad you brought that up. It's real timely. Like I literally met with one person yesterday and one the day before. So
I'm gonna make a comment. Brian, you'll wrap us up and then we'll go to coffee break. So on Steve's point, the one other thing that I think there needs to be is like creating your marketing funnel, because it is so distracting to be like, oh, should I be on Instagram? Oh, TikTok, oh, social media. Oh, do I do this? And like, once I got my marketing funnel and somebody helped me figure it out, and mine doesn't include any social media, then I can tease out the noise and be like, Instagram class, don't need that. That's not for me. But I think knowing what your strategy is going to be based on like, LinkedIn wants you to write articles and Facebook wants you to do videos and those kinds of things. And which are you better at, and where are your people for that kind of thing? But I think there needs to be like an overarching class of like, what is your marketing funnel based on what your strengths are?
can I ask a group question based off of that? So I'm trying to filter out commentary. Social media that you look to for, hey, yeah, I want to take a class, or I want to join a group or an interest group. Where are you going to consume that information? Because I'm talking with the team about this, and I don't think we need to post on every platform. And I think it needs to be real targeted. Are you going to social media to find out about this stuff, or
LinkedIn and meetups.
LinkedIn and meetups?
Coaches.
Oh, individuals, like people, word of mouth.
Word of mouth.
Okay.
I rely on almost every newsletter that every organization puts out. So if your newsletter doesn't include the events that you have available, we have a problem, because then I can't pass them on to folks.
Right.
The other place is honestly, Facebook is where I see most of what's coming up
Right.
for you, and find that to be very helpful.
I just rely on Jana, and she's not here, so I have no idea. All right, Brian, wrap us up and then we'll switch.
Great presentation. It was great to see you the other day as well. And
Likewise.
what I would say is it would be very helpful to see classes for people that are doing things on the internet. So it would be great to see something like video editing 101, what to do when your iMovie crashes, how do you sell when your entire business is online. I have a number of clients who are going through those kinds of things. And then the part on how do you deliver, I think it's recordings and hybrid. I have been through a number of things recently where people are going, yes, I will be there. No, I will not be there because my workmate just got COVID. My kid got COVID. I got COVID. We're never going back to 2019. It can never be in person again. It's too unpredictable. And even if you're looking at the numbers, we're one of 50 counties in the country right now that are in medium risk. Like, we will get more waves, whether it's this one, something in the future. We just have to plan for that, I think. So it sucks, but it's the way of the world.
Too early.
No.
Well, thank you both for coming today. Second cup of coffee or third, however many you're on right now. Jana, you can come up and get set up.
I vaguely remember how to do this.
And it's true that Jana, I really do. I don't know what's going on.
I think might have to change that easily too. I'll see what Jana's newsletters are. I'll get on this tonight.
Get all the newsletters.
Yeah.
But you know what, here's another class.
More than that. I just-
Well, I do talk about.
Like I thought it was Mike.
Yes.
I
didn't hit anybody.
I
skipped off the cracks in the table and.
You want me to
Tries to
this
throw
on
his
the
trash trash in the trash can.
He's like a 47% shooter. He's no good.
It's
I have no
system
hand-eye
here.
coordination.
It's my,
Ooh, nice.
it's my specialty.
There's still a little bit. No, there's more.
There's a lot of classes, like,
Yeah, after 5 hours of meetings yesterday, I'm like, the person sounds good. Hey, it's Hope and Jana. Why not?
that is in my opinion.
As the presenter, with everyone going hybrid.
I thought next door was just for figuring out who in your neighborhood is racist and, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I have never used it.
My clientele is luxury house. I started when I first.
So, you know, that places where you don't see that many.
But I think you can even do as well, the same thing for the in-person,
Right.
and you can use your online. Right, like, but your instructor isn't
All
going
right,
to.
wrap it up, folks, wrap it up. Jana's gonna have lots to talk about too.
I have to
It's
say,
an online class. It's
I
not.
love your blue hair. It is like.
Madam Executive Director.
Never do that.
Wow.
Right.
All right, ladies, gentlemen.
Get your Jana voice on the end.
Jana voice.
We're gonna teach you how to talk to your
No,
dog.
I just do about 3, like I start here, it's from horse training. Start at the lowest level and then meet them where they're at.
Are you
So
comparing us to horses?
if I could parent like I could train horses, it would go so somehow I have more patience with a horse than my child. Horses don't talk.
Yeah.
They talk back, they don't talk. All right, so we have Jana Sanchez of the Estes Park Economic Development Corporation. She is the base program manager there. And she is deathly afraid of the sound of electric can openers.
Don't.
Wow.
Can't be in the same house. No,
Really?
no idea why. It started when I was little, no idea. I have no idea. Nothing traumatic. I've never had a can try to attack me. I mean, I really don't know, but I cannot handle the noise, just cannot. So,
Better not go to the stand.
yeah, interesting stuff. Okay, so I am here this morning because Natalie said, we have a hole. And I went, well, I'm sure I can figure out how to fill it. So here I am. And what I'm going to walk you through today is something I recently walked my base program participants through, and it is, how do you do strategy and operations? How many of you have a strategic plan for your business? How many of you have some vague goals somewhere in the back of your head about your business? Okay, I'd suggest writing them down at some point, but you know, how many of you have an operational plan for your business? How many of you have a spreadsheet in which you use to keep track of all the shit you do? That would also be known as an operational plan. It's not great. It's not your best one you can have, but it does exist. So this is the interesting thing, is that we all know we should do this stuff and we don't. We just don't, right? Because you're so busy working in your business, you are not working on your business. How many of you feel like if you hear that one more time, you're going to Okay, it's still very true. Okay, so we require our graduates to provide us with a 6 to 18 month operational plan. And this is why we do that for them. Because when you get your hands on an operational plan, you understand what your key activities within your business model are. How many of you know what your key activities are? The day-to-day stuff that actually makes you money, that must be done in order for the business to function. Okay. For those of you who are consultants in the room, if you don't have prospecting and cold calling and those sorts of things on that list, we have a larger conversation we need to be having. Okay. But you want to look at an operational plan that helps you manage your cash flow, your resources, your staff. You want to understand what kind of actual growth capacity you have, right? Well, there's some fundamental differences, and this is where everybody starts to get interested, is they're like, okay, I have a strategic plan, I'm good to go. Strategic plans often get written and then get stuck on a shelf and nobody looks at them again until we're supposed to do the strategic plan again, which is a really shitty way to do it. So if we look at what operational plans are, they're deciding what needs to be done to achieve the tactical objectives of your business, right? That seems fairly simple. They're done in support of your strategic plan. So in theory, you ought to write your strategic plan first with your big overarching goals and your long time frame, and then you operationalize your strategic plan, right? So really, when we look at our strategic plans here, we're looking to try and leverage future opportunities, and our operational plans are how we get the tactical objectives of the day-to-day of those potentials to happen. Is this making sense? Okay, how many of you move easily in your head from tactics and strategy? Congratulations, you are within the top 7% of the population. 93% of the population cannot do that. It is not a skill set that comes naturally to them. So if that's not something you're comfortable with, great, you're normal. There's your validation for Wednesday morning. Take your cup of coffee, feel free to head out the door. So basic steps, and there's a few here, and I'm going to skip through a lot of this because this is not what I'm really here to talk to you about today. Although I've taken 4.5 minutes to get to my point, right? We can go through what these need to look like. And I'm happy to send you all these slides if you would like them. But the thing I want to get to is what are the stairs between tactics and strategy? How do you actually think through the process going up and down? Now I've stolen this language that you're about to see directly from Brene Brown because I've never found anything better. Like, I'm a word nerd and she's made this very, very simple to walk up and down. So if you think about it, I'm going to give you this kind of mental picture I want you to do. Any of you been to the Ogden Theater in Denver, right? It's got the big balcony and it's got kind of the mosh pit dance floor in the bottom, that kind of thing. All right. So strategy, you're up in the balcony up here, right? You're overlooking everything. You've got a great view. The music isn't really loud to you yet. You can kind of see everything that's going on. You feel like you know where things are. Versus being down on the dance floor in the middle of the mosh pit, music's going thum, thum, thum. Somebody's bumping into you. There are people yelling. The music's incredibly loud. You're doing the thing. You're doing the thing every day, right? The fun grind that we all do every day. Some of us. So there are two different pieces. How do you move from the balcony to the dance floor? You take the stairs. Okay, so this is the stairs. First piece, when you're going from execution to strategy, or what we like to call tactics to strategy, as you walk up the stairs to get there, first and foremost, what's the color, right? This is what we're going to call the 5 C's. You're painting a full picture of what is the clear intention of what this executable is supposed to be doing. Like, really, how is that supposed to happen? Then there's context. So you want to figure out where this is happening in other areas that is impacted. So what's the context you have? Why are you choosing to do this within the business? What's the larger context in the world? Are we still dealing with COVID? Are we not? Are we dealing with a hard supply chain? Give me some context with it. And then tell me about your connective tissue. How does this particular thing you're executing on connect to every other piece of your business? How does it work with the partners you have out there? How does it work in tandem with your key resources? And then you want to talk about what cost it has. And that's not just money. That's time. That's opportunity cost. You remember economics, right? What is it that it's going to actually cost to do this thing in the larger strategy? And then what's the consequence? If we do this thing, if we do this strategy, what happens? What happens to the business? What happens to our reputation? What are the unintended consequences of what that could be, right? And then once you're up here at strategy, now you've got all of these things of like, wow, I stacked it all up. I'm back up here to strategy. And then you walk it all the way back. Does that make sense? Okay. That would be what I came to show you. I will take your questions. Not bad,
I give you 30 seconds.
not bad. Okay, I'm all at practice.
So one of the things that I find particularly challenging, and this comes from starting to think about when I'm going to start a new business, is where is it I want to go? What's that big long-term picture thing? And then, okay, how do I dial it back to getting the first steps going? And it's interesting to listen to this presentation here, because I think this slide is really, really powerful. But one of the things that happens is you start to go down one path that's like, oh, that's not going to work. So it's like there's a lot of iteration that goes back and forth. You might go from color to context and back to color again, and then from color to cost. It's like, oh, so it's like you're kind of bouncing around.
This is the one people step out of most often.
Right.
Is the connective tissue of how it relates to everything else, which is why you have these weird harebrained initiatives that show up.
Yeah.
Right?
So it's just really, really good. Well put. Thank you.
I wish I'd thought of it. It's brilliant.
That's okay. You got it.
I will use it all day long. Don't get me wrong.
I wish you and Mike were together on this. If you did the business canvas
Oh, yeah.
presentation, that's.
Oh, yeah. You should see my business campus presentation. That's entertaining. But yeah, there's a lot of that here.
No.
Really? That's all we got here? Okay, Dave.
I think the iterative nature of it is important. This isn't something you do when you're starting your business. It's not something you do annually.
Right.
And as you bring people on, like this is how I have a pretty clear picture of where I want to go and I know exactly what I need to do to get there. But now that I'm having other people involved, like they'll bring up an idea. I'm like, wait, that's outside the boundaries that I've never communicated to you.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And this is the opportunity for you then to take them up and down the stairs to explain why it's out of those boundaries.
Yeah.
Right? There's a cost here, or the context doesn't make sense for us, those sorts of things.
Oh, so a little bit of story sharing and a little sneak peek behind SBDC. So there was no strategic plan for the SBDC when I arrived. And it's been in our community for a long time. So this is one of the first things that I did, but I didn't want to just do it in isolation, right? I just knew we needed one. So I did a little bit of brainstorming. What do I think is going on here? But then I opened up to the team and I said, we are going to co-create the strategic plan. And then kudos to Sally. She said, oh, and then we're going to be talking about it every quarter. And I went, yes. Because you can't use it, we'll just stick it on the shelf, right?
Yeah. But if you don't check your operations against your strategic plan on a regular point, it doesn't matter that you defined what north is, you're probably going east.
Right. And one other little tidbit, just if people are doing this or thinking about it, and this was helpful as far as all these stairs. We took a stab at this saying, what impact are we trying to measure? Because our activities need to support our impact measures, which are basic. It's companies created, employees retained or new hires, capital formation and increase in sales. That's it. That's all we're required to report on. So anything that we can do that can help companies measure those things. But if it's something that doesn't relate to our impact, even if it's fun and awesome and cool, we're going to draw boundaries there. And that's where we're not going to get that. What is this? Right.
Because your consequence is that if your funding doesn't come through if you don't meet your metrics. And so that's where you have to draw some of those lines. Sam?
I have two comments. First comment is very dated, so take it for what it's worth. My guess is that it still is a phenomenon that exists. But there was a day when HP was not where it is today, when Harmony didn't exist. The whole corridor was blank. And we built a building there. And at its peak, our cost of goods throughput was right at $700 million, which would converted into revenue over $1 billion. We had 4,000 employees. We did everything from the bottom to the top. Then this was before we did a lot of things for shareholder value. Interestingly enough, we would go through these strategic planning sessions and never once did we go through the implementation side of it. And we
Happens
knew
all the
it, and
time.
we knew it.
Mhm.
The thing was, we would spend big money to bring in the big guys. And we would know the people in the room, the 25 of us that were there, and I had supply chain and that kind of stuff. We knew we wouldn't do it. So I put together my own, this is the second point, and I love it still to this day. So I recognized that there was a disconnect between strategy and action. You're gonna find this a little bit weird, but it goes right into your stairs. I put together a 3x5 deck of cards, and they were color coded. And each one of them had an issue or a step required for the implementation of what we called, and I had 300 employees at the time, what we called necessary to implement. And every week at my staff meeting, I would have my 3x5 cards there, color coded with all of the things that you're talking about. And we would go, because they had due dates on them, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
And by the way, if I wasn't doing them, I would hand them to a person. I would hand the card to a person and I would say, this is your thing for next week and I want to see it back at our next staff meeting. So, but it was, I still use it to this day. At home, I have a stack of 3x5 cards and each one of those have a deliverable associated with it. And you can, interestingly enough, you can prioritize them. You can hand them out, you can bring them back, you can make notes on them.
And now they monetized it and call it Kaban boards.
I'm half tempted, commercialize my 3x5 cards.
I let Jana take over. Jana's not an FC. So this is actually interesting. I've sort of been playing with this without any structure or, like making it up as I go kind of thing. But I had presented, I don't know, September maybe on this book called Fair Play, which is basically taking organizational, okay, I can remember if you're here, organizational management and bringing it into the home. And it is a deck of cards of every single thing that women tend to do in the home so that it can be delegated. And I was just thinking the other day, I was like, I need to do this in my business because there are things that I need to do, but I'm also paying a VA much less than me that I could outsource these things to her if I just sat down and made a deck of what it is that I'm doing in my business. And so I think the other question is who, right? Like I made a chart on a piece of paper of like, these are the things I have to do. I could delegate this to my VA. I could delegate this to someone who's really good at writing and marketing writing, which I'm not very good at. And so I think also just the who of what needs to be done in your business. And even as solopreneurs, doesn't mean that we have to do all of it ourselves. I know.
Have you internalized that yet?
It's close.
Good.
It's
Okay.
close. If I just sit down
So-
and make this list.
The interesting thing about one of the reasons I force small business owners and solopreneurs to build an operational plan is because they don't value their own time. Right? So when I make folks go through and I'm like, build your operational plan. And oh, by the way, I want you to tell me how many hours per week and or month this activity takes. And when it gets done and they built their operational plan and they look and they go, my God, I'm supposed to be doing 80-hour weeks. And I'm like, and this is why you feel like you can't get anything done in your business, right? This is why you are so busy working in the weeds on the damn dance floor that you can't get out of it to get to the balcony and look at the strategy. So I would suggest go back and look at everything you think you ought to be doing in your business and put a time frame on it. And figure out how many hours you can actually outsource or need to outsource in order to actually, one, make the business function, but two, have a life. Because that would be nice. We got into business for ourselves to have the life we wanted to have. And we're so busy running the damn businesses, we often don't have the life we wanted to have. This can happen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Was letting you run it. And I was like, oh, wait. Okay, so to wrap this up, well, first of all, thank you, Jana. So to wrap us up today, who has a win? Who has a resource we need to know about, or who needs some help?
So I think I mentioned in one of the earlier cups that we had an opportunity. It was kind of crazy in February because we went on a vacation to Mexico and got COVID. So we had to do some meetings. We had to stay an extra week. While we were there, we did 48 pitch meetings to businesses, you know, as part of an educational program from something called ECRM. But anyway, out of all that,
In Mexico.
in Mexico with, you know, spotty internet connection and one shirt that I had brought. So 4 days, same shirt. It worked great. And so, but out of that, just recently, we just had this week, we've got a PO for an order with Kaplan Early Learning, which is, and they're going to put us on their online Target store to start with, and then hopefully grow. They're pretty big. So it's not the, you know, it's not the big Kaplan Scholastic. It's a smaller version of that, but in that same space. And so that's for us a pretty good thing, you know, and there's a bunch of other things in the hopper, lines in the water, and we'll see.
That's for the,
That's for the Color Pocket.
oh, Color Pocket, okay.
Yeah, so we created a special deck for them. You know, one of the things that we say that we can do an alphabet deck for their early learners, and then a special sampler deck for the kids. And, you know, so we'll see how that goes. But that's, you know, after all that's been going through for the last 2 years, and these two presentations were pretty particular for us, because one of the problems we have is we don't know what the metric is for success in the context of, yeah, all of a sudden our Facebook stopped working. Yeah, all of a sudden there was a pandemic and people were buying food, not unnecessary things like a coloring kit. And
Because you weren't going anywhere.
right, so it was an interesting, you know, period of time, and things seem to be turning, you know, although now we have other things like wars and things like that to worry about. But so, but for us, I think that's another piece of the puzzle with this is we can have all the strategy we want, but as a product selling company, we have a slightly different focus. We got to go from 1 million people to 1,000 to get our funnel to work, rather than 300 people down to 10, you know? So that's something that for us is interesting about what's available in some of these classes. But anyway, Kaplan Early Learning at Target. So.
A win and a resource. So last week I did something I normally wouldn't do, which was take off Thursday and Friday to go camping. Right? Like there's always so much I have to do. I'm like, no, I can't attend that. But I did, and I met people and I talked about what I do, and I have an opportunity to provide coffee to Sundance Steakhouse, like to be their local supplier. So get out there, meet people, talk about what you do.
I think in the four-way view of like order of importance of your family, your community, yourself, and your career, I realized how important community was to me, because I was like, the more I get out there and do the things that I enjoy doing, the more you can find people to just talk to and say, oh, this is what I do.
It's all related.
And then the
Beth and
resource.
Peter figured this out.
And then the resource to Jana's presentation, like going from strategy to action. And with Jenny's motivation a few weeks back, I wrote a blog post on from vision to action, and there's a worksheet on there that helps you just, what's your future vision? 10 years from now, what do you see? And then the boundaries. This is something I see missing from these strategy sessions a lot, is the boundaries. What are we not going to do?
Yeah.
You know, where are we going to say no? We're not going to be on TikTok, and that's just decided, right? We're not going to do that. And then issue identification. So I would appreciate it if you would check it out, especially since you use these types of things, and let me know what you think.
It's on LinkedIn or?
No, it's on my website, rev0.org.
Okay.
REV0.org. And yeah, print it out. It's a free PDF. There's no, you don't even have to put your email on, which I should probably make you do, but I haven't yet. So you can just download the PDF, try it out.
Run with it, run with it.
Yep.
Right.
That's a 2-second.
For those of you who know of a business in Estes, or your business act in Estes, my program is now accepting applications for our fall cohort. So it's a free 6-month intensive program in Estes Park covering leadership, operations, and innovation and growth strategies. So let me know if you're interested in that, but I've got 30 slots and I've only got 10 of them filled so far. And our application deadline is July 31st. So
Is this a course through the SBDC, of like the organization, like the?
this
what
is,
you're talking
no,
about?
this is what I
No,
do
know,
for.
but do we have this here through the, it's really nice to have both of you.
Yeah, so
through the
we don't,
SBDC.
so Jan, if you all have never been to where Jana works, you should all go visit her. Seriously, it's a beautiful space. We don't incubate.
Sorry, that was a
Okay.
different question.
Okay,
I was
what is the
asking like kind of what she was talking about, the organization, like creating the strategic.
Strategy and operational
Yes,
plan.
is that a?
So
thing through
we
the
have
SBDC?
offered historically some strategic planning. I don't know what it looks like. We don't have any on the horizon, and I've not seen any operational planning classes.
Cause that would probably be nice
Yes.
to answer your question of what classes we want.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, Brian.
For all of you with student loan debt, there's reporting out by CBS News out of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus that the president is looking to forgive an amount of student loans at the end of this current extension. What that looks like, nobody actually knows, but that's coming up. For anybody with online classes, books that they're publishing, we are coming up on the Copyright Claims Board, which is small claims for copyright, starting to receive claims. There's one last piece that they have to finalize. So that should be sometime between now and June 25th. So those are the updates there.
Sure. Anybody else? Got 1 minute left. Peter.
Yeah, a win for Beth. She just got elected to the Purdue University Alumni Board.
Have they stopped asking you for money then?
Start telling you what to do, so.
Hey, you know, that's not a bad deal.
All right. Well, thank you all for coming today. Those people online, we can make breakout rooms if you want to chat afterwards. Everybody else, grab the rest of the coffee and have a lovely rest of your week.
Thank you.
20-hour week commitment. Or 20-hour month commitment. Yeah, the application's on the EDC website, so take a look.
Yeah, it didn't dawn on me until I was thinking about.
Good to see you, John.
Just say, want to go there. They started out as a company that made.
Oh, I appreciate that. I can't believe it.
Got like switch machine blades and all that. They got, as well as I have.
Probably
all the time. And the business, it's, you can still. That's my newest one. That one's. I have all this stuff. That one's way. But yeah, I mean, yeah, this model, and, you know. Yeah, I mean, the last 20 years. But yeah, it's really good stuff.
Did I do well this year? I don't know. I have no idea if I did. I know I have. Did I do well? The only reason I didn't imagine. Their movie talks about.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm doing that. Everything actually right there. I never did anything. I like it. Everything. I don't know what this is.
Oh, I know.
Well, sometimes the place goes in this place.
Plastic, get ready to graduate.
Yeah, you know what's important. Yep.
You know. Next month, come to.
All right, I'm gonna log off.
Yeah.